Hey, athletes, welcome to episode number 56. How have you been? I know that the CrossFit Games Open started, and I've got a lot of friends on social media and in person, and a lot of the athletes on the team. They've been really busy with their 21-1 performances. I did not sign up this year, just wasn't part of my goals. But I do have quite a few resources for you on boosting your performance with supplements in the Open this year. So I want you to check out episode number 52 if you haven't already. Go back and listen to that episode. I'm talking about the supplements for the CrossFit Games Open, specifically what you can do for the next 4 weeks now to really boost your performance in the Open. So if I have any advice I can give you besides that episode number 52, I want you to give yourself a little extra TLC for the next 4 weeks. Find any way that you can to recover, because recovery is going to be the name of the game. You're going to, especially if you're trying to maintain your normal schedule, beating yourself down for the next 4 weeks, doing these workouts multiple times, they're not only a physical stress, but they are a mental stress too. So give yourself some time, and don't make it feel like you got hit by a train and then by a bus and then by another train. So I've been there before, and that's the advice that I want to give you. Recovery is the name of the game for the next 4 weeks. But as for this week, what I want to talk to you about is, I want to warn you here. Now, I'm going to talk about myself for a lot of this episode, but, and I don't like to really talk about myself a lot. I like to give you facts and things like that. Experiences are important too. And this particular episode is going to be a lot about my experiences in my fitness journey. So you're going to hear a lot about me. You're going to learn a little bit about me as well. But I want you to absorb what I've learned in my experiences, and hopefully they can help you. Hopefully you can see a very clear line about how these things I'm going to express to you will apply to the situation you're in your fitness journey. So it all started because I was chatting with a client of mine a few nights ago, and she just started on a new weight loss goal, and she's only, at that time, was only 4 days in. And we're not doing anything drastic with her nutrition and her training. It's just, she doesn't have a lot of weight to lose, but it's enough where it's going to take work. And we're just making some few tweaks in her habits and stuff. So establishing habits is a lot easier and more likely to be successful. So she's 4 days in, right? And she's following the plan to a T. But guess what? In those 3-4 short days, she hasn't seen any results. Oh my gosh, right? 4 days and no results. Who'd have thunk? Now, she messages me, and I can tell that she's very frustrated, and she asks me how long until I see the scale move. You guys, now this woman, this client of mine, she is smart. She has a PhD in philosophy. She teaches at a university level institution. She is smart. And luckily, I know her well enough, I'm just able to give it to her straight rather than giving her these coddling baby talk lessons of life. I just gave it to her straight. I told her that she knows better. I told her that she's smart enough to understand how processes work. And this is a process, what we're doing with her. Her goal is a process. And I tried to relate it to her like, you've been involved in a process of obtaining your doctorate, your PhD for over 10 years. Don't tell me you don't understand how these things work. You don't just wake up one night, you don't just wake up one morning and, stumbled into my PhD, or stumbled into my weight loss goal, or stumbled into Mr. Olympia. Like it doesn't happen. It's laughable, right? So what I'm doing here with this is I'm showing you how one process is very comparable to this fitness journey process that you're in. And I'm assuming that if you're listening to this podcast, you're interested in fitness goals in your journey, just a little bit. And it works the exact same in any realm as it does in fitness, whether it's academia or corporate, whether you're a parent raising a child. And I'm going to tell you, like, as I'm writing this episode, I'm like, if you've raised a child, if you've had a child and raised it from at any point of its birth until now, whatever age that child is, it's a process. It's the daily inputs. It's the reviewing of goals. It's more daily inputs. It's more review. You don't just get to places overnight. And, for this particular episode, I am excluding some of those very lucky few out there. We think of the trust fund babies. They're born with silver spoons in their mouth. It's a lot easier to buy your way to success when you're in those circumstances. So, if you're a real human being and you're not in the 1%, you're listening to this is very applicable to you. So listen. I feel sometimes as if being 17, almost 18 years into this fitness journey actually puts me as out of reach. When some of my clients, when some people meet me, even casual observers, they assume, they look at me and they go, wow, she's got her stuff together. She's fit. She must eat well and she knows how to do all this stuff. And I could never be like Katie Danger. And you guys, I've been doing this process for 17, almost 18 years now. And now I did not know that when I started it was going to be like this. I didn't know that 18 years ago when I stumbled into the rec center at University of Nebraska-Lincoln that I'd be having my own podcast someday, calling myself Coach Katie Danger and trying to inspire people through all of these lessons I've learned in the past 18 years. I did not know this. That's why it's a journey, it's a process, and it's certainly fun to reflect on. But I want to share my story. I want to show you what my journey's been like, and then come full circle back to how long does it take. So let me share my story. Let me tell you how my fitness journey started. It has literally been a roller coaster of changing interest. I've taught myself new things. I've learned, I've applied, and sometimes I failed in terms of what, how Western culture defines failure. I failed hard, but sometimes also finding myself wildly successful and really excited about things. And you know how the journey looks, right? Like the journey, if you happen to be watching this on YouTube, the journey is up and down, up and down, up and down. And I'm just waving my hand across the screen over the place because that's what a journey looks like. We all want it to be this very linear, very predictable, perhaps exponential, increase of success and how we define it over time. It doesn't look like that at all. And we know that if you've lived more than a couple years, you know that, or you could explain that to a toddler, right? So here's where my journey begins. Information we receive is always evolving. And what I knew about health and fitness 17, 18 years ago is so much different than what I know about it now. And if you keep evolving in your journey, then you just got to roll with it. You got to have the drive to stay on top of the things and learn as you go. You do have to be an active participant in this journey. You have to get comfortable with that. You have to get comfortable with, not knowing and then not knowing again. What you know now, what's right for you right now in your journey, I can almost guarantee that it's not going to be that way in the next 20 years. Definitely, probably not in the next 20 years. Things change so much. So I get to college. That's where mine starts, right? My journey starts. I get to college. I went to the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. I graduated in 2003 from a small town in Nebraska. And I start meeting all these new people at the rec center. The rec center was like the coolest thing I'd ever seen in my entire life. Like we had a local YMCA back home, but nothing like this, right? This is a Division I level school and they got some amenities. And I love basketball. I played a lot of basketball when I was a little kid, and I threw myself into these co-rec pickup games, and I was meeting even more people. And then those people would also go and they play co-rec flag football, and I would do that stuff too. But again, I never really considered any of this fitness. It was just fun. I didn't care about calories, and I certainly didn't care what I was eating. I'm not even sure I knew what a calorie was back when I was 18 years old. I was a college freshman, and things like that just didn't cross my mind. But then something happened, and the only thing that I really knew outside of basketball and flag football was the elliptical. Okay, like that's what I knew. Remember, I want to remind you, it's 2003, 2004, and that's all I knew was the elliptical. And I mean, at that time, I think it was a pretty hot item. I don't know, maybe I should have Googled when the elliptical was invented or introduced into commercial gyms, but anyway, I think it was pretty new for the time. And it's low impact cardio, I was an 18-year-old girl, and I see other girls, pretty girls on there. I'm like, well, I want to be pretty. I want to be fit looking. So I got on the elliptical, and I really liked it. I liked cardio. Whatever you wanted to call cardio. Then that was what I did. I do that multiple times a week. I'd go to the gym, and I would do my cardio. And then I started noticing other guys lifting in the gym. And I'm not sure if I was interested in the weights or the guys over there, but I started to venture over to the dumbbell section. And remember, this is college freshman Katie here. If I could describe to you what college freshman Katie looked like, this is how I would say. I didn't weigh more than 100 pounds soaking wet. I was skinny as skinny could be. Like, you go to Abercrombie & Fitch. Okay, remember, 2003 Katie. You go to Abercrombie & Fitch and they have double zeros. I would have some waist left in the double zeros. Like, that's how skinny college freshman Katie was. Not a muscle on my body, I don't think, other than like what was absolutely medically necessary, right? So I saw, the guys doing dumbbells, so I kind of ventured over there, did some dumbbell stuff, have no idea what I did. And then I remember over the dumbbells, I saw some obviously upperclassmen girls. They were lifting on the benches. I didn't know what it was, but they were doing bench press. And then they were also doing what I later learned to be deadlifts. And they weren't bulky or anything. They were strong, and they seemed like they were having fun. And I think I was jealous because they looked strong. They looked like they could hold their own. And at the time, strong was only a word I could relate to my personality. Definitely not my body. So I had a strong personality, but my body looked like a limp noodle. But I decided I wanted to use the internet, this fancy new internet in 2003, 2004, and I wanted to learn more about lifting weights as a beginner. And remember, YouTube did not exist in 2003, 2004. So I stumbled upon Mark Rippetoe's Starting Strength book. And this was probably going on 2004, maybe 2005, when I found it. Because, I had gone through my little process of my college freshman year, college sophomore year. And I found Mark Rippetoe's Starting Strength. And if you don't know what that is, if you've never heard of Mark, or you've never heard of the book Starting Strength, just stop what you're doing, press pause right now, go to Amazon and look up Starting Strength, just buy the book. It's been a really, really big part of my journey. I talk about it many times in the journey. I'm talking about it with you right now. It was a catalyst for a lot of the fitness experiences that were about to play out in my life. And the book talks about how to lift the big three lifts: squats, deadlifts, and presses, to get strong. It's talking about getting strong. Not necessarily aesthetics, definitely not competitively. It was just, how do you do these, why they're important, and talked a lot about functionality. And this was also before I'd ever even heard of functional fitness, and now known as CrossFit. Now, the book Starting Strength, I think it's obviously aimed at adolescent males, like preteen males to young adult males who want to use those lifts to get strong for their high school sports. And I think generally that's what Mark Rippetoe, who he teaches nowadays. I believe he's in Wichita, Kansas. But that's like the age range in which he teaches. But the book is invaluable no matter what age you're at, no matter what process or stage of the process of learning with barbell weights you're at. In fact, even if you consider yourself an expert, you should know what that book is and you should read it. But I was at the time I was an uneducated beginner. I didn't know anything about anything, so it seemed like it was a perfect book for me. I read it, I loved it, I dived into it. I started lifting the big kid weights at the gym. So you would see me at the squat rack, you'd see me at the bench, and you would see me doing presses with just the barbell. But I ended up meeting some new guys at the gym too, because I'd go into the big kid weight section. And the cool thing is, I'm not kidding, I'm still friends with some of these guys that I met some 15 years ago. I met some really good friends doing it too. So a little side note there. Now, usually I just lifted alone, and I stuck to very safe weights. I didn't think I ever need a spotter because I wasn't there yet. Okay, I wasn't ready to max out. It was just, I want to be able to do the 5x5, the 3x5, very, very simple templates, especially as a beginner. But I do remember when I finally benched 100 pounds. You guys, this was a big deal. For Katie, who used to be 100 pounds soaking wet, to be able to lift 100 pounds on a barbell, that was awesome. But like I've mentioned before, it's a journey. And I started to get tired of lifting all the time. And one day I decided to try the pool. Who knows? The gym might have been way too busy and I just didn't want to deal with it. So I tried the pool. The rec center had a pool too. And I liked it a lot. Now, I've never swam competitively up to that point. I knew how to swim. I wasn't going to drown or anything. I took classes as a kid, but I taught myself that I was going to swim like a swimmer would swim, right? Like just swim for races, swim for fitness. I liked swimming, and I also liked running. In high school, I did some cross country running in high school, so I started to swim and run. I kind of found myself drifting away more from the heavy weights at the gym and going into swimming and running. And then I heard about these things called triathlons, and it's where people swim, they bike, and they run. In that order is a race. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm already swimming, I'm already running, maybe I can add biking. That seems really easy. So I started adding biking to my training. But I was a broke college kid, so I needed to save up to buy a bike. I wasn't going to go to Walmart and get a Huffy because I knew that wasn't a racing bike. But I still wanted a respectable bike, so I just used the stationary bike for a while. So I'm swimming in the rec pool, I'm running, and then I'm biking on the stationary. And I trained. I trained. I started swimming, biking, running. And I entered my first YMCA local triathlon in my hometown in 2005, and I won. I won it. Now, full disclosure, there were probably only 10 ladies who competed, and all of them were probably twice my age, but I still won, and I thought it was pretty cool. So I started doing triathlons for a while, and I even trained for the Branson Half Ironman when the Branson Half Ironman was a thing. Then I started to get interested in lifting again. I remember that training for that Branson, I started to get a little knee twinge, so I kind of lost interest in running because it hurt to run. So I started lifting again, and that's when the fitness aspect and the career aspect, they hit a crossroads, and I decided I was going to join the Army. So I joined the Army in May 2007. I joined the Army. And of course, now that meant that getting back into the weight training seemed like it would be a good idea because basic training, my gosh, it seemed like it was going to be really, really hard. In hindsight, it was more just mental gymnastics from drill sergeants, But, I went back to weight training because I thought getting into weight training is going to help me get in shape for basic training and hold my own as a female in the Army. Well, then interestingly enough, so I get done with basic, and then interestingly enough, the Army introduced me to CrossFit. That's how I found CrossFit. Once I got back from basic, I started school up again in August of 2008. So I took a year off of college, and in August 2008, I started college again and joined ROTC. Reserve Officer Training Corps. So I was going to be an officer once I graduated from college in 2 years. And some of the guys that were in the same class as me, they were doing what I was told was CrossFit. And one day they finally hooked me. I had watched them for days do these silly workouts in the gym. Most of the things they did were body weight because our gym, the ROTC gym, wasn't stocked like the rec center was. They had some dumbbells and stuff, but they didn't have barbells or anything like that. So pretty much we're just doing body weight stuff, lots of pull-ups. Just didn't seem like it was my cup of tea. Well, one day they got me, and I did a workout with them. It happened to be called Cindy. If you've never heard of Cindy, go ahead and look it up. Google that CrossFit workout as well. But let me just say, I did Cindy. It was my first CrossFit workout, and it wrecked me. It wrecked me for so many days after that. Little did I know, though, that at the beginning of a long and pretty successful CrossFit competitive career. So the very first workout I ever did for CrossFit was Cindy, 2008, 2007 to 2016. That's where it started. It started in the Army, started with that workout, and then it went all the way really passionately, really competitively up to 2016. I really, really love CrossFit. Of all the sports that I've tried, of all the people that I've met, CrossFit and the process and journey of training for that sport, because it encompasses so many things, so many factors. I've improved myself mentally and physically in so many ways that I've never imagined. I'm a completely different human being than I was before I started CrossFit. CrossFit taught me about process. It taught me about the process and what that journey really means. So when you ask me, how long does it take, Coach Katie Danger, how long does it take me to reach my goals? I'm probably just going to respond with you, it takes as long as it takes. I spent a lot of years improving my physical fitness in specific ways that would improve my ability to compete at CrossFit at high levels. In the 10 general physical skills. I mean, that's what I harped on a lot. And I've talked about that before in many podcasts, so I won't dive into it. But the 10 general physical skills, I hit those very, very hard. And even in those heavy CrossFit years, though, you find yourself dabbling in other sport-specific things like Olympic weightlifting and powerlifting. And I learned very quickly through training competitions that, and then of course winning and losing some, that success is not going to be overnight. It is a journey, and sometimes it's a long, long journey. I mean, you guys, you're training for things from year to year to see small bits of improvement. When you first start lifting, it's all fun and games because you see really, really quick improvements. But then once you start to get conditioned, you got to dig in and dive deep because those wins don't come as quickly as they did before. The adaptation process is so much slower. There's far longer plateaus. It's a long journey, and CrossFit really taught me. It empowered me with that lesson, and I learn it, and I live it, and I believe it. It's after the reflection on this long journey of mine. It takes me to think on how preposterous it is when somebody who has very little fitness background and education, they think that they're going to hit their 50-pound weight loss goal in just a few months, and it is not taking away from any part of the being, any part of the person that human is right now. But if you don't have any education on fitness, if you've never been a competitive athlete in any shape or form in your high school level, and then as you're an adult and you come up with a pretty audacious goal, a very doable goal, but audacious and it's going to take work, and then after 4 days you haven't gotten there, and you're like, why haven't I gotten there yet? It's preposterous. It's absolutely silly. I'm at my 18th year of learning, and it has been nonstop, ups and downs, wins, losses, exciting times, boring times, plateaus, and you just keep going. It's these unrealistic expectations that we have for ourselves when we set goals, and we're just setting ourselves up for failure. It's very disappointing. You guys, there was a time when all I knew was the elliptical. That was my fitness level, was elliptical. Katie, what do you know about fitness? Elliptical. That's it. I didn't even know what a squat was, but here I am now. So many years later, I've trusted the process. I've enjoyed the process of learning new and fun things. And I've been a beginner a lot of times in my life. A good lesson that I learned from the Army is learning that at some point, you're always going to be at the bottom of the totem pole. You're always going to be a beginner at some point. I'm going to ask you some really important questions, okay? Just answer them in your head. You don't have to answer them out loud. Do you think that Michael Phelps won all his gold medals by just training for 3 months? Do you think that Michael Jordan became the greatest of all time, personal opinion, greatest of all time by selling for his junior varsity team in high school? Do you think that I became Coach Katie Danger by reading one book about starting strength? Okay, you probably answered no to all those questions, I hope. Then why on earth would anyone in their right mind, why on earth would you in your right mind think that you're going to reach your fitness goal, lose the weight, be Mr. Olympia overnight? It doesn't happen that way. It doesn't happen in weeks and it doesn't happen in months. I've got some news for you. This is actually really good news. You only fail if you quit. You only fail if you quit. I'm gonna say it one more time. You only fail if you quit. Just like the stock market, you only lose money if you sell. I recently invested in some stocks, and almost the very next day I lost half of it. But I didn't sell. I didn't sell because I wasn't scared, because you only lose money if you sell. So don't sell yourself short. Don't ever sell. Don't ever sell yourself short. Keep going. Hold the line. And I'm going to sum up this whole entire episode for you here. My current journey is at nearly 18 years. I started at 18. I'm almost 36 now. It's been about 18 years, half of my life. I cannot believe how naive I was when I was younger. And I'm sure I'm gonna look back again in another 18 years. I'm gonna gasp at at how naive I am now. But that's the fun part, growing, learning, and learning. It's all fun. It's all the process, and it takes as long as it takes. Another concept to understand is, do you think that when you hit that weight loss goal, because if you stick with it, you'll hit your goal, no matter what it is, okay? You gotta stick with it. Do you think that once you, like, let's just take a weight loss goal, for example. Do you think once you hit that weight loss goal, you're just going to go back to eating burgers and fries? Like, heck no, you're going to be a changed person. If you're able to stick it out, you're going to change as a human. You're going to have learned so much by going through the process of weight loss, gaining strength, building muscle, whatever that goal is for you. I want to be clear here. I'm using that goal of weight loss very often because it's very easy and it's very relatable for a lot of us. It's an easy metric to comprehend and see too. Seeing is believing, the results are there. But this is interchangeable with literally any other life goal that you have. It's because you change your person, you change your habits, and you adapt your life for the person that you need to be in order to reach your goal. Because if you were already the person that you were supposed to be to reach your goal, you'd be at your goal. So you're not there yet as a human. Your habits are not online with that goal that you have. And that's why I get frustrated when people get upset that they haven't hit their goal in a certain specific timeline and they give up. You'll absolutely succeed if you keep going. If you don't quit, you will succeed. The process changes you in so many ways. I've mentioned in this episode alone, I've been changed as a human being in the past 18 years. And I can't imagine the person I'm going to become in the next 18. So I'm going to ask, and I want you to answer again. I want you to actually say this out loud to yourself. I don't care who you're with. Say it out loud. I'm going to ask you, how long does it take? And you're going to respond with, it takes as long as it takes. I want you to get that mentality in your head. It takes as long as it takes. Athletes, I plan on living to be 120 years old. And I realize I did the math, and that actually gives me almost 84 more years to do what I want to do with my life. 84 years. So that is a long time. It's plenty of time to get done what I want to get done with. So if you get discouraged when you're on that journey, I want you to look at a similar time in your life when you did succeed. We've all got wins and losses here and there we can draw from. We all do. And if for some odd reason you're telling me, Katie, I have no wins, I only have losses, okay, that's a mentality that we need to work on anyways. But I want you to shift focus in. I want you to look at somebody you can look up to and see what they've done and see how the process has helped them. That's exactly why I shared what I shared with you today, is because the deeper you get into your journey, the more lessons of fitness you're going to learn. You're going to start applying these to other areas of your life and vice versa. Whether you want to gain wealth, financial health, improve your relationship, boost your career, whatever you want to do, these lessons apply and they start to trickle down in other areas. So that's why if you've got your fitness down, it applies to other areas of your life. If you've got other areas of your life, it applies to your fitness. So draw on those, especially when you get discouraged in how the journey is going for you right now, or whenever. Having faith in yourself and where you're headed is a very, very powerful thing. And I'm not sure, like we were talking about success, right? We know that people judge a lot of things on how much money you have, but I'd be hard pressed to find a more successful person than the person who has believed in themselves for the long term. That is success, believing yourself over and over again. I want you to bet on that person, the person who believes in themselves. Put your money on that person. In fact, make yourself that person and bet on yourself. So I'm going to wrap it up here. I'm going to ask you one more time. How long does it take? How long does it take you, athlete, to get to where you want to go? It takes as long as it takes. And that's what I tell myself when I get frustrated about a place that I'm not where I want to be at, particularly a lot with business lately. So that's just what I tell myself. How long does it take? It takes as long as it takes. Athletes, it has been real, and I'm wrapping up episode number 56 with you real soon here. But I want to thank you again for joining me this week. I love talking to you guys about lessons, experiences. I love hearing your feedback, and I love adding value to your life. So thank you so much for joining me. And I want to let you know, I do have a topic planned for next week. Now, usually I don't know exactly what I'm going to dive into when I record the podcast for the week. I usually wait till about Monday, Tuesday, the next week, as my week starts to shape up and things start to, kind of come into particular importance. But I know what I'm talking about next week, so I want to share it with you. I've been diving into learning a lot more about my gut health. That's kind of where my fitness journey is taking me, is my gut health. So I decided to take a fecal sample of my gut biome. Yes, that means I'm having my poop analyzed. Okay, but the cool thing is, it's gonna tell me a lot about what's on my insides and how my gut is operating. I've already sent my sample in the lab, so I've taken the sample, I've sent it into the lab. The thing is, it takes about 5 weeks to get the results, so it'll be a little bit before I'm able to share those with you, but we got about 4 weeks to go. Okay, so I'm counting down the time, 4 weeks to go. In the meantime though, next week, join me, because I'm going to be talking about the crimes we commit against our stomachs. We do a whole lot of crime against our stomachs, and when you take some time to improve your gut, I want to give you some information about how if you improve your gut, it improves every aspect of your life. When people want to lose weight, gain muscle, get faster, have more energy, it all starts in the gut. So gut health is very important. That's why you should join me next week. It'll add a lot of value to your journey and the story that you want to write for yourself. But as for episode number 56 right now, let's call it a wrap. Athletes, I'm going to leave you with this. Please believe in yourself. It is a journey. Trust in yourself and have faith. You've got this. But for now, this is Coach Katie D. Over and out.